Hello everyone and welcome to this week's webinar. We're here in Scottsdale, Arizona at the MySwing Pro Studio. MySwing Professional is a 3D motion capture system used in golf, track and field, baseball, a lot of sports. We've got some exciting things coming out this year that all of you will be interested in, so stay tuned for that. We're also brought to you every week by Medicus Golf and Kick-X Golf. If you have any questions, just put them in the sidebar and I'll get to those when we get done with our topic today. So today we had a topic request was how do I keep the club on plane in the downswing? Well, there's a lot of things out there right now that say there is no such thing as plane in the swing. If that helps you to think like that, that's great. If you need to think about something being on a plane, then you can think about that as well. The most important part of that whole subject is how do we get the sweet spot, the center of the club. How do we get the sweet spot to be coming down the right angle during the downswing? So good golf strokes are normally inward to outward. Right, so that means the club head is coming from inside the ball line into the golf ball and then back to the inside. So, and then we're going to have a bonus topic, which is for us seniors, and we'll actually start off with a bonus topic today because last week we were supposed to do it and I completely spaced it out. So we're going to start with a couple of things you can do as a senior or as someone that's losing your flexibility. We're going to start with a couple of exercises you can do to get a little bit looser so you can turn more, free your body up, you don't have all the stiffness. So the first thing we want to do is just put our hands together and interlock our fingers like this. Put it above your head as far as you can. I'm going to back up a little bit here. And trying to keep your elbows relatively straight, not bent. Shove it up to where you can take almost your palms straight up and then back as far as you can. You're going to feel a lot of tension in it. And you may not be able to go as far as I can. But if you only go this way, that's as far as you can go, that's fine. Stretch it a little more. Each time you try to stretch the limit, hold it for about 5 seconds to help you feel that stretch. The other thing, another thing you can do is stretch out kind of your shoulder girdle, your scapula. Put the club behind you like this. Take your posture and then just start raising the club. Some of you won't be able to go about right here. I can go clear up to here. Right now, because I've done this a lot. And again, you'll be able to do the same thing. You just have to loosen up all these muscles and these tendons. We have one where you can actually take, and I don't know if you can see my feet, put your foot up on the heel, reach down, try to grab your toe, and hold this. This is going to stretch out your hamstring. Hold that for a few seconds. You do the other side as well. I would also suggest that you take what we call lunges. Lunge over to one side, bend your knee while you're leaving your trail foot flat, your leg fairly straight. Again, you're going to feel some pressure in your legs when you do this. Another one that I'd really like you to do is you stand up and you take your foot, pull it up to you so that your thighs are touching. I've done this one not one. When your thighs are touching now, pull back a little bit more. What you're going to feel is a lot of pressure and a lot of stretching right here in your thigh. And then let's say that you're someone that can't turn very much. You can do this in a chair. You can also do it on your knees. So I'm going to get down on my knees. And now I'm going to put the club across my chest. I'm going to put my knees as far apart as I normally would in a golf swing. I'm going to turn my chest as far as I can. Right now, that's as far as I can go right now. What you don't want to do is go like this. That's moving my head clear over to the right. I'm going to try to stay centered as you do this. And again, when you get to a certain point, just hold it and then go a little bit farther. You want to do this in both directions. It's also a good way to tell you how much you should be turning right now. And then the other one, the final one that we do is you take your right hand and put it underneath your left, so the back of the hands are touching. Get your golf posture and take your hands back. Now where your hands go is basically the length of your backswing. As high as it can go without breaking down. So these are just a few little exercises you can do to start loosening up. Now, when you're out hitting golf balls, we've talked about this many times. When you get set and you want to make your move away from the ball, do as a practice drill, start the club out here. Now it's got some momentum. Swing it back, unweight your front foot. So for me, that's my left foot. I'll put back a little bit more so you can see it. Let it come up to a toe. That's going to allow you to have more hip turn and more shoulder turn. In other words, your chest turn. By keeping the foot down, that's as far as I can go. How much farther I can go, unweight that foot. So you want to feel it unweighted, unweighted in both directions. So let the foot release. All right, so now we're going to talk about how to get this sweet spot on playing in the downswing. So what we see typically is we see golfers get to the top of the swing, and the club is going to look like this, all right, or it's going to look like that, which is pretty much wide open. If I get up there and all I do is just come down this way, you can see how the club is turned here. Some players will get up here with their left wrist, what we call bent a little bit there. As they come down, the face is going to be wide open. You see it right back there. So you can do this a couple of ways. You can feel like when you take it back that your right palm for right-hander is working downward, so the face looks, and I'll put it out here so you can see it. So the face looks a little bit tilted down. Then you keep going to the top and try to get that Dustin Johnson look where he kind of arches that left wrist. When you get up there, the way that you want to start this down is you feel like the hands are going backwards, which actually shallows the shaft, and it gets a sweet spot now coming down from the inside. You can do this a couple of ways. When you get up here, just let go of the club, take your right hand, if you're a right-handed player, and feel like you pull the knuckles backward like this. And what that's going to do, and I'll show you what changes your wrist. So your wrist looks like this, and that goes this way. So from this angle, it looks like this, and that goes this way. See how it flattens the shaft back here. You do that with your hands. And again, what you want to feel like is it's actually a clockwise movement backwards as you're starting your downswing. Another thing you can do, and it's going to look like that you're falling backwards, and I'll show you the down the line view first. When you get to the top and you make that little move with your hands, also feel like your hips are going to do this. Look how the club shallows and flattens backwards. All right, so from the front view, it's this way. See, it looks like I'm actually setting back, but actually I'm only going to here because from there I'm moving forward. So again, you feel here, and you can do this with the knees, okay, with the knees and the pelvis, your hips, and that's flattening the shaft, which gives you the opportunity to get this sweet spot coming from the inside. So those are just a couple of drills that you can use to get this sweet spot coming down playing. There are a lot more drills up on the website. You can go to Chuck Evans Golf and click on videos and see all the drills. Now we have a bunch of questions, so I'm going to get to those. All right, our first question. And this is from Jim. What should your swing thought be on driving? Well, take the club that you can hit in the fairway. If it's a 5-iron, it's a 5-iron, it's a 3-wood, a hybrid, whatever it is. What you want to feel like, again, when you're driving, if you're hitting the driver, you need to hit that ball slightly on the upswing. So if I was going to hit the ball slightly on the upswing, would my golf shaft be positioned here, I'll get out of the way, or here? Would my ball position be back here or up here? So if I position the ball forward, that gives me the best opportunity to line this shaft and my lead side on up at impact. You do not want a ton of forward shaft lean with a driver because it's not designed that way to begin with. And number two, when you get that much lean, you're actually taking loft off, you're hitting down instead of trying to hit up. So a good image is just put your ball on the tee, stand out there and say that picture there's a giant oak tree 40 yards out in front of you, and you want to hit your driver over that oak tree. So say to yourself, where would the ball be? Would it be more forward or more back? It would be more forward. Where would the shaft be and the handle be? In line or out of line? It would be more in line. How about how my body sets up? Sometimes I can just tilt my body a little bit this way. You see how the angle of the shaft changed. So that'll be impact. If I set up like this and go here, you see the angle of the shaft? Now it's here or even tilted down some. So I would set up the ball more forward, get to the top of the backswing, come down into impact, and again, you're going to feel more tilted. You're trying to launch this ball over that tree. So picture it that way. Also use lies that are uphill. Practice swinging along the uphill slope. So if I have a slope like this, I'm going to practice swinging up along that slope. You'll notice where my arms went. They went up this way versus a downhill slope to be going down that way. So again, uphill slope, picture hitting it over a 40-foot oak tree, and watch your ball position, and then watch how your shaft alignment is coming into impact. All right, next question. This one is from Greg. How should your elbows be positioned in the full swing setup? Well, your arms are going to hang at a certain angle. Greg, and I'll move up here a little closer. All right, so mine hang like this, so I just put them on a club like this. Some people's arms hang inward this way, so they would look like this, kind of like the old image of Hogan in his book, although he never did this. But here's the difference in your elbows. So if my elbows are in like this, right, and so the inside is facing up, you'll notice how my elbow folds and stays pretty close to my body right here. If my elbows are more diagonal, let's say, when I take it back, my elbow gets a little bit farther behind me. If my elbows are punched this way, okay, now what happens is my elbows are real far behind. You can see a big difference in just how I am changing that elbow location to affect what that club's going to do and what my elbow does in the backswing. You just need to see how you're set. If they hang like that, just put them on there like that. Let those things do what they want to do and what they naturally try to do. Don't try to force them to do something else. All right, next question. This one was from Charles. How do you keep the shoulders from dipping in the downswing? It looks like good players drop into their swings, but still maintain the head in the original circle. All right, so what happens is that when they get set up, right, and you get to the top, a lot of players you'll see lose and start losing some of the flex in that trail leg. Now, if I keep the flex, when I come down, obviously I'm not moving down as much, okay, because I'm already in this flex. However, if I start with a little flex and not a lot, and I get to the top and this right knee starts to straighten, what you see them doing is they're setting down, they're going back down to their original knee bend. Because they went this way, now they're going back to the original knee bend, now the shoulders come down. So you don't want to get to the top of the swing and raise up and fall down. The big key about changing height is that if you start 6 foot tall and you go down too much and you come down to 5'10", your club is effectively 2 inches shorter. So you're either going to hit behind the ball 2 inches, or you have to start bending your lead elbow to make up for that 2 inches. Lee Westwood is a prime example of that. Calvin Pete was a good example of that. They both kind of bend that left arm, and Lee Westwood goes down quite a bit. So to accommodate that, bends this left arm so he doesn't stick it in the ground. And that's okay to do. It works for him. Remember, there's nothing that as long as you're hitting the ball the way you want to, you're hitting it solidly, and the shots are going where you want, there's almost nothing you can do incorrectly if that's what you're trying to do. But again, the raising up and down, I can tell you that the head travels a little bit, translates just a little back and through, not much, but you want to try to get from the up and down motion. You don't want to be the jack in the box. because then you have to make a ton of compensation getting with your club delivery to the ball. All right, next question. All right, this one is by Bob. What do the hands do at impact? Flat left wrist, where do the hands go after impact? All right, so if I'm at impact and I'm using an iron or whatever club I'm using, I'm trying to move my hands in a manner that puts the club in the delivery at the angle it's designed to put in. So this would be about the angle right here for this club. I'll move away so you can see this. So once I make impact, as I keep moving, the left wrist, if it was flat, it's basically from impact, it's actually moving prior to impact, into impact. Just post impact, that left wrist is starting to get your bend in it, or what we call extension. But you're trying to lose all that post impact. That's why you see Hogan kind of looking, I'll do it at an angle. Look like the shaft was between his arms, or he looked like the shaft was between his arms, not on the lead arm or the trail arm, because he's letting that wrist go ahead and relax. I mean, if you're doing this, you can see that this creates some speed. But if I just lose some of this flex, okay, I'm also doing that while I'm rotating. Okay. So it's moving from flexion into impact, and post-impact is going into what's called extension or bending. All right, next question. All right, this one is from Michael. How changing jumbo grip size and adjusting loft 31 to 29 degrees affects the ball flight trajectory and distance? Would you necessarily have to adjust the lie angle after decreasing the loft? Jumbo grips are fine if your hand dictates, if you have a really big hand, or if you're trying to hold the club more in the palm and less in the fingers. By decreasing the loft, for every 3 degrees, I think it is, that you decrease the loft, you gain just a little over 2 yards. So when people say I want to strengthen my irons by 5 degrees, you're going to add about 4 yards. Now you're going to turn your 26, 27 degree 5-iron into a 22-degree club, which is basically a 3.5 iron. So when you do that, you're going to lose trajectory. Right, so the flatter that comes out, the more loft you take off, the flatter the trajectory is going to be. That's why the trajectory is different between a 5-iron and a 9-iron, or a 5-iron and a pitching wedge. So I'd only suggest, again, those max grips, if you had arthritis, big hands, or you're going to hold the club more in the palm. I mean, it's not in the palm, but it's right on the palm, versus down at the bottom of the fingers. All right, next question. This question is from John. Are you familiar with the golf swing shirt? This has helped me stay connected and square the face. Just curious. Yes, I have seen that. I've seen Padraig Harrington looking like he really liked that thing. I've seen it, never used it. I don't like things that constrict the player. If your arms are that constricted, typically what happens is your backswing's not going to be very high because you can't. Whatever that device is going to keep you from getting high enough. And then the follow-through is pretty cut off. But again, if it works for you, that's what's great about training aids. There's not a training aid that works for everybody. But if it works for you, keep using it. All right, next question. Well, we got a bunch of great ones today. All right, this is from Dan. How do you correct a low duck hook? Okay, so first question you have to ask yourself, Dan, is what's causing the duck hook? So we know that if the ball is hooking, so I'm going to do this from a right-handed player's perspective. I know that my club face, okay, is close to the path, which is what the club head travels in. The face is close to the path. So if your ball is starting out on the target line, duck hooking, that means your path is the target line, but your club face is close to that line. So the ball can start left, continue to go farther left. So you have the essence of a draw, it's just overdone. The low part would be that you've got your angle of attack, you've got too much lean to it, and you've got the shaft, you've got the sweet spot turned down too far. So what I would do is just take a couple of golf balls, set one up, set one to the right of it, and give yourself a visual. All right, so let's say I'm going to hit this ball. With my mind's eye, that's the swing path I want the club head to travel. Well, now when I set up, I'm going to aim the club face slightly closed to this outside ball. Now, when I swing down and try to, my feel is that the path is coming toward that outside ball. So you can see it come clear out there. I'm going to leave the club face pointed just right of the ball I'm hitting, but left of the path I'm going to swing. Check your ball position and make sure you don't have it too far back and that your angle of attack is not too steep and that you don't have quite as much forward lean to it. All right? Next question. All right, this one is from Charles. How do you avoid too much lateral movement in the downswing? This leads to hitting fat. Actually, lateral movement, in a lot of cases, makes people hit it thin. I hear people talk about separation of upper and lower body. Is this a good thing? And do you have any great drills for that? Okay, well, we do have some drills. I'm going to grab a chair. And we talked about this earlier. I'm going to set the chair right here so you guys can see it. And I'm going to set my left hip up right against this chair. So as I go to the top of the backswing, all right, even though I have a lot of pressure over here in my right foot, right hip, you can see that I'm touching this. If I get too much this way, you notice how my head and everything moves too far forward. That will have a tendency to move the path to the right. If you actually have too much forward slide, you actually hit a thin shot, typically not a fat shot. That shot would come from staying back here too far. So I would suggest that you go to the top, feel like you're sitting on your back foot more, okay, even more. You can see what I just did right here. Feel like I'm setting back more until the club gets down right about here to delivery, then push it forward. Again, you don't want too much lateral motion because if you have a lot of lateral motion, chances are you're not going to have a lot of rotational motion. All right, next question. This one was by Mike. Within 10 yards of the green, what do I do? Mike, that depends on the pin location. You talked about that last week. If the pin's up front, I'm going to hit just a little higher pitch shot, okay? Which again, when you're hitting this shot, you feel like you just pick the arms up and open the face as you do that, and it allows the club to feel like it's going to swing right past your knees. This way. So the face is pointing back to you. So your elbows look more like this. See how my arms came into me like this? It's one shot when I'm trying to hit it high, I don't want to go this way. If the pin's in the middle, I can hit a mid-trajectory shot. If the pin's in the back, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look more like this. I'm going to hit a little lower shot so that it carries onto the green and rolls off to the hole. All right, next question. All right, this one is Ed. How to take a divot 4 inches after hitting the ball. Okay, so let's talk about this logic. Let's say that you struck the ball right here relative to the middle of your chest. So that would mean that your divot should be from here to here. Let's say you struck the ball up here. Well, now that divot is much shorter. Right? So the divot is not always 4 inches in front of the ball. The divot starts just after you hit the golf ball. It will travel downward until it reaches, until that club head reaches about your target side shoulder, which is where that arm hangs at its lowest point. This would be before, that's after, and that's at the lowest point. So once you hit the ball, the club enters the ground, and as long as you don't do anything to jerk it out of the ground, you continue as you start moving your body, your shoulder moving in a round and up and inward motion, that's actually what's going to pull the club out of the ground. So you don't have to think about trying to pull it out. Your body's doing that for you. You're just trying to hit that ball, keep that club moving downward post-impact until your body motion pulls it out of the ground. All right, next question. All right, this one is from Naranda. I pull my iron and hybrids. I'm not coming over the top. All right, so again, that goes back to what the club face is doing. Remember, the ball primarily is going to start where your club face is pointed at impact. So if you're hitting it left, that means at impact, instead of your face being slightly to the right if you're trying to hit a draw, your face is already close to the target line. So when it's close to the target line, that means that the ball is going to take off in that direction. Now, the amount of curves is going to depend on the path, again, where the club head is swinging. So I would look at your club face, and there's a pretty good drill that you can do. I don't know if you can see it here, but again, we've got it up on the website. Set up to a ball. You don't have to make a full face. Swing it back and down, point the face to the right, make it square, point the face to the left. As you can see, when I'm doing that, I'm not changing the path. I'm changing what my hands are doing to control the club face. So remember, the ball's going to primarily start where the club face is pointed. If it's starting left or right, that's where it's pointing, okay, at impact. The amount of curve, or if there's curve, will be the deviation between where the face is pointed relative to the swing path that it's going. All right, next question. Boy, a bunch of good questions today. Pablo, I have a problem with my driver. I can't make the ball airborne. What is the problem with my swing? My ball has a low flight or just rolling on the grass. Okay, Pablo. You are topping the golf ball. A couple of things. Number one, you could be coming into impact looking like this. See how the club head's going in front of my hands. All right, that's going to make you get the top of the ball as well as get fat shots. Number two, you could have the ball too far forward. If I have the ball too far forward, then I obviously can't get to it, right? I have to make too big of a move to do that. The biggest thing in topping has to do with two things. Where your pressure is moving, so you can see mine is moving into my left side, and my hands not allowing the club to pass my hands. The club head passes the handle, the grip, okay? The club head passes that, the club is looking up, okay, we're adding loft to it, and the face is pointing to the left. So I'd do a couple of things. I'd stand in front of a mirror, put a pillow or anything down where you would have the golf ball. Position the golf ball at your left armpit to the outside of your left shoulder. Look in your mirror. So I'm going to say that this is my mirror, this monitor. I'm going to swing up, I'm going to swing down. I'm going to look at it. Now, if I look like this, I need to fix that. Shove this over, move this to this way. Remember, your brain is taking a picture through your eyes. So you have to train yourself that feeling. And again, you have to feel like you're swinging up. So you tee the ball up just a little bit, practice swinging on an uphill slope. All right, and now looks like our last question. All right, and this is from Dammit. How can I control my rhythm in the downswing? All right, so we talked about this a while back, and you can do this, you can do it internally, you can do it outside if there's nobody out there watching you that you don't want to get embarrassed about. Some people, see, if they swing back too slow, then they're too fast starting down. Some people swing back too fast so they don't pick their backswing. You need to find a nice rhythm where you're swinging back through. Now you'll notice that this swish happens. I'm trying to make the speed over here. I'm not trying to make the speed back here. Right? That's going to be completely out of rhythm. The other thing you can do is hum to yourself. I'll just hum out loud. So, or If you hear a big change in that tone, that means you're changing your rhythm and your pace. So thanks for all the great questions. You guys were great today. Keep the questions coming in. We'll pick another question for next week. Until then, we'll see you.